Are we broadcasting?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that. That's fun. I was sure we had a GPS template.
Yes, but
Hi. What are you doing? Same here?
Oh,
good morning.
good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Wow. Really?
Hi.
Early or is it?
No.
Okay.
No, you're not.
It's 11, right? Starts at 11?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for coming. We're struggling to locate an important document also.
Let me see. Just so you know, we have not informed that it is going to be. We are just recording it.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Sounds
But
good. That's
people
fine.
come here, and if they miss, they have the
That
chance.
sounds
to
good. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, the box one. If you-
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks kind of like that,
Yeah,
except
but
different.
give me some time. I like
Sure.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. All right. Let me get this thing on the screen. Let's get rolling. Do. All right.
Okay.
You guys are so far away. Good morning, everyone.
Hi.
I'll join you up front.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
Okay, and Harshika.
All right, so we're here to do a mid-year business plan and get us back on track towards our goals. And let's just start with who is halfway to their 2023 annual goals? Not me. Okay, then you're in the right spot. You are halfway to your goals. Congratulations. Okay. Okay. Awesome. Well, yeah, a lot of people aren't, as you can imagine, with the market shifting the way it has. And we also, as humans, tend to set goals that we then don't hold ourselves accountable to. So this class is about both things. Like, look, we're halfway through the year. If you're not halfway to your goals, let's see if we can realign and get us back on track. So that's what we're going to talk about. And if there's anything in particular you're hoping to get away from this class, let me know right now so I can write it on the board and not forget about it. Why are you here? Just because?
What's the question?
Why are you here?
Oh, right.
To,
Yeah, to drive
To
business.
wake up, I
Drive-
guess.
okay.
Yeah.
To wake up, drive business. Okay. Okay, cool.
I'm still waiting on my license to be processed, so.
Okay.
I'm just getting a head start and learning as much as I can.
Get your plan in place and be ready to execute on it. I love that. Okay, cool. All right, well, let's go through some principles real quick. We're going to start with our big whys. Everyone know what a big why is at this point in their journey? No? Okay. So what is a big why? Who wants to try to answer that question? Yes.
Your purpose or your reason, your motivation.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, your inspiration, the thing that will get you to do the hard things. Because running a real estate business, if you're purposeful about it, is not an easy thing, and you need the motivation and inspiration to get you to do the things that you otherwise aren't going to be interested in doing. So this is sort of step one: is why are you even doing business? And paying the bills is not a good enough reason. That's a reason, but we need more. So does anyone have a big why that they're willing to share? Hi, good morning. Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
My big why is generational wealth.
Yes.
To make sure that my family's taken care of when eventually, I leave this earth.
Yes, I love that. Okay. Do you know what that looks like? How do you know that you've achieved it?
Yeah, I want to. So growing up, personally, I moved from home to home, and my parents didn't necessarily have like a set home. So I want something for my children to each have their own place.
Yeah. Okay.
Eventually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They say that they can call their place like their own.
Okay. And is that motivating enough for you to do the hard thing?
Yeah. I would
Okay.
say so. I would
Okay,
say so.
great. So if you don't have something like that inspires you to do the hard things, whether that's knocking on doors or making the calls that you know need to be made, that's step one, is to figure out what your inspiration and purpose and motivation is that will get you to do the hard thing. Okay? Anyone else want to share their big why? Hey.
Hey, Joy.
I'm well. Thanks for coming. I'll have
you.
printouts for everyone in a second, but we're tracking down one more. Yeah, go ahead.
My two kids are in college, tuition.
Yes.
And then we love traveling, so my
Yep.
husband is taking care of other expenses. So
Yeah. Okay. And that's motivating enough for you?
2-3 years is.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think it's
Okay. Great. Oh, we have a bug. That's great. Yeah. Okay. So you've got the motivation of the ability to travel and pay for your kids' expenses. Did I hear that right? That's great. Okay. Awesome. Cool. All right. So there's some great big whys out there, and if you don't have one, that's what you're looking for. The thing to get you to do the hard thing, even when you don't want to, which for a lot of us is probably often. We often don't want to do the hard thing. And we often are coming up with reasons as opposed to doing the thing that's going to get us the results, or reasons why things didn't happen, or reasons why not to do something. So these are kind of some thought-provoking, like, do we even know what our goal is? So you've got a big why that I think we can attach some very clear outcomes to. If it's buying 4 homes for your children, for example, like you can come up with a price tag and you know what needs to happen in your business. You know how much you need to save. And so that's kind of step 2 is how do you convert your big why into a clear, measurable outcome, whether that's a dollar sign or an amount of time that you have or some combination of the two. And then are we measuring? Are we measuring on our way to whatever that goal is? And we're going to talk a lot about how to measure as this class goes on. But these are things that are going to make it just that much more likely that we'll achieve what it is that we're looking to achieve. So what do we most not want to do? These are some of my things. Everyone's got something that they don't like to do. Lead generation is top on my list. What about you? What do you guys not like to do in your business? Lead gen? Yep. Okay.
Cold calling?
Yep. Certain types of lead gen? Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
I already have experience in a paralegal position, but that time I also faced this lead generation, and most of the time, you know, both like those were like Indian guides. I need to push them, force them,
Mhm.
but here this is totally different from law.
Right.
And so no idea like how they will react, like like how we should start, like hey, this is, you know.
And is that the unknown? Is that daunting for
Yeah.
you? So it keeps you from
Strange
actually
people.
taking action. Right.
Maybe they can hang up with your phone. Or
Right. Well, what is the worst case scenario?
This is
That they
the-
hang up the phone?
Yes.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Like I'm scared of that too.
Yeah.
But like the worst case is they hang up the phone. It's not that bad, and yet it keeps us from doing the hard thing.
Yeah.
What about scheduling? We know that the lead gen has to happen. Are we actually making the time for it to happen? No? Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about that later on as well. And then honing our skills. Are we taking the time, so I guess that goes to your point as well, are we taking the time to practice the conversations, to understand the market or the product that we're selling so that we can have these informed conversations and have that confidence? That takes time
I think
too.
knowledge, right? Knowledge. Like if you have knowledge, so the person in front of you, he will be like, oh, so she or he has knowledge.
Mhm.
And I think then we can gain confidence.
Yes.
And knowledge will come like when we start practicing.
Right. Yeah. Yes. So knowledge is one of the things that leads to confidence. There's 2 others that have to happen too, and that is consistency. You actually have to do it. You have to take action. You can know everything in the world, but if you haven't actually done the thing, you're not going to have any confidence in it. So with competency, consistency, and clarity. You have to know what your desired outcome is. So you can know everything about real estate and talk about it a lot, But if you don't know what you're actually trying to accomplish in the conversation, you're missing an important piece to give you that confidence. So those are the 3 C's: competency, knowing what you're talking about; consistency, doing it over and over and over again, making mistakes, getting hung up on whatever it is; and then clarity, knowing what it is that you actually want and what you know that the other person needs to hear from you. Cool, that was a fun little aside. Okay, so let's talk about lead gen real quick, because there's a ton of options. And the reason I think this slide is important is it's easy to talk about what we won't do. A little bit harder to talk about what we will do. So this is a short list of things that an agent could choose to do for lead gen activities. And in my view, the way I think about this is to have 3 pillars of lead gen, 3 primary sources that 90-something% of your business will come from. And the way to identify those, well, one is chosen for you. That's your sphere of influence, people that already know and like you and trust you. Getting referrals from them, serving them at the highest level, whatever. So really we're picking 2 other things to do to generate business. And one way to think about this is like, what do you know that you actually will do? Because I know people that are like, I'm gonna door knock. Like, that's my thing, I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be 1,000 doors a week. And then 3 weeks in, like, oh cool, how many doors did you knock? Like, I haven't started yet. Like, okay, you picked the wrong one. Pick something else. So do you guys know what your lead generation pillars are? And if you don't, are any of the, and there's more than this. This is a very short, partial list. What does interest you? How do you find people that are looking to buy or sell real estate or invest? Hi, Diana.
Well, I haven't done any practicing
Yeah.
for real estate yet, but my previous role before this, I was a recruiter for 8+ years.
Yep.
So cold calling is something I'm very comfortable with.
Okay.
So I would say cold calling would be
Okay.
something I'd be good at, I guess.
Great. Okay. And there's no fear around that.
No.
You don't mind getting hung up on.
No, I have fear of well, I wouldn't say fear, but intimidation around door knocking. Though.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Just because I picture myself, like, if I'm at home and someone comes to my doors, most of the times, if I don't know them, I don't answer it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I guess that's a good point too, is when we often like to project our stories onto the people around us, and come up with what we think that they are thinking, right? Which is often just not based in reality at all. Like, oh, this person doesn't want to hear from me right now. Like, well, how do you know that? Why? Why do you think that that's true? Okay, so cold calling might be yours, and not door knocking.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Anyone else want to share what their pillars are or might be? Pillars of lead generation?
Maybe we can start from friends or relatives,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely, yeah. So that's the first one, sphere of influence. SOI stands for sphere of influence. So that's people that are already very tight in your world. And I think that should be a source for everyone in this room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of your 3 pillars. What's not on this list that should be? I don't see open houses. I think that's one that everyone should at least consider. People coming to you interested in real estate. It's the best kind of lead.
Or maybe we can go to see if there is any like function is going on, like like on religious,
Mhm.
ceremonies.
Yes.
Or we can go there.
Yes.
Yeah, we
So-
can go there.
Right, so social or cultural or religious events,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think that might qualify as networking, I don't know. But yeah, if that's something that you can be committed to doing and making sure that you're having purposeful conversations around what you do for business, then I think that's a great source.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we'll get to how to turn that into a plan and how to get that to take you to your goal a little bit later. All right, one more. What other sources are out there or missing or are your favorites or least favorites?
Social media.
Social media. Is that a favorite or a least favorite?
It's a third favorite.
It's the 3rd favorite. Okay. So one of your 3 pillars.
Right.
Great.
Comfortable with that.
Okay. Great. And that is not one of mine. I won't do it. So it's not one of my pillars. Cool. Okay. And then, so just real quick, we've got a lot of tools that can absolutely be utilized to make a lot of this easy. So I just want to refer to those real quick. Connect is your educational platform at kwconnect.com or connect.kw.com, either way. And then Command is a platform that you can do a lot of that social media stuff from, as well as direct-to-door advertising, Facebook ads, all sorts of stuff. Okay, so how do we get started with lead gen then? I got a quick slide here around the 33 touch. Who wants to tell me what a 33 touch is and why it's important? Brian.
It's a way of communicating with your database for at least 33 times in a year, so that you can be on top of people's minds and then get referrals as well as doing business with them.
Yeah. Why 33 touches?
You want to stay on top of people's minds.
Mm.
The more touches you have, the more mind share you can have with other people.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And that's what the data says is best. That's, when Gary Keller interviewed hundreds of the top agents among all companies for the Red Book here, that's what he discovered was the model that gets the results that agents are looking for. And then, so real quick, I do want to talk about this idea of these, what do you call these, concentric circles, the general public down to your allied resources. And this is one of the, I think people gloss over this graph a lot in that book, and I think it's hugely impactful, and I'll show how it turns into a funnel in a minute. But so on the very outer side, that's everyone, the general public. And as you move in, you have your target audience. And so if you don't know who your target group is, let's figure that out real quick. And obviously, part of your target group is someone who is interested in buying, selling, or investing in real estate, probably. But how else can we narrow that down? How can we identify a target audience? And why is that even important to identify a target audience?
So your messaging is correct?
So your messaging is great, yeah. So especially if you're on social media, you want to make sure you're speaking to the right people, and then focusing your advertising spend or whatever on the right audience. Mm-hmm. Why else? So I believe in the law of attraction. So when you put out exactly what you're expecting from the world, it often delivers. So when you identify that your target audience is, for example, education focused, like you start to see a lot more people, or learning based, I should say. You start to see a lot more people in your world show up that are learning based. I prefer working with learning based people because they can be taught as opposed to hard-headed or stubborn or whatever. So that's one of my criteria for my target audience, for example. And then just to show you how that impacts my advertising and my strategies, one of my lead gen strategies is to teach classes. So it's direct to my target audience, is because I want people that want to go to classes. See how that ties together? Cool, and then as you move in, you start meeting people. And so again, the goal is to push as many people as you can to the center. So you've got your Met group, those are the groups that you do the 33 touch with, essentially everyone that you've met. And then as much as possible, you start working on your allied resources, who are pretty much anyone who's going to refer you business. That's how I view it, at least. So it might be your lenders and your title companies and whatnot that you might think of, but also past clients and good friends that are your, what's that term? Bird dog? Is that the right term? That'll point you to potential people, to potential clients that you should meet with. Cool. Any questions about the lead gen model and the 33 touch? So how does this how does this turn into a sales funnel? One way to look at it is if we just go whoop, it becomes a funnel. So this is like looking down from the top of the funnel, and then you end up with this when you look at it from the side. So everyone's up here, everyone, and then you move down towards receiving leads lower in the funnel, essentially. And we'll talk about numbers in just a minute so we can predict our business. But that's a cool visual, at least in my mind, to take this and turn it on its side. So how do we develop a 33 touch? If we know it's important for everyone that we've met who is in our real estate sales database, how do we stay in touch with it? How do we actually do it, implement a 33 touch? Through command, yeah, absolutely. That's one easy way to do it. There's smart plans that'll, yep, a few clicks of a button and boom, everyone's on it. There's some people prefer to, for example, do a monthly market report, so that's 12 touches, and maybe a monthly call, that's another 12 touch, and maybe a direct-to-door postcard or something. Like, you can really mix it up. The point is to make sure that you're getting in front of them 33 times in a year. Anyone want to share an example of what they do? All right, Brian first.
I think for me, what's worked for me is after you identify who the people you want to stay in touch are, and then obviously, you can divide it up within 13 weeks to hit everybody up. I would say that at the end of each week, you prepare for the next week of who you're going to call.
Mm-hmm.
And you do it, the way I do it is I just list everybody that I want to contact. You print it out on a sheet of paper, and then you just have that for you for the rest of the week, as opposed to trying to go into your CRM and figure out who you're going to call each day. So just have a printed out sheet,
Mm-hmm.
and then just make a note if you're able to call them, text them, or email them for the week. And you may not get a hold of them today, but then you can try the next day. But I do find that printing out on a sheet of paper works best. And then after you're done with it, at the end of the week, you could input it into your CRM. But the key is to prepare it before the week starts.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yes, you want to make it, again, if that's a hard thing for you, you want to make it as easy as possible. So if you just have a list for yourself, or have a VA pull a list, whatever it is, whatever your system is, I love that. It's like, I just imagine someone else giving it to you, but you're giving it to you. Like, call these people. Okay, I'll do it. Easy. Just doing a job. Diana, do you want to share?
So I'm about to start a quarterly event
Mhm.
where we invite past clients, we invite other agents, like just people in the industry, mainly as a social mixer, but the conversation always turns into what's going on with real estate. And so just to remind them that, hey, I'm in the neighborhood and I'm a real estate agent. So we're actually in the process of planning those now, but we're gonna do it once a quarter.
Very cool. Okay. Yeah. So that can be part of the 33 touch. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, and we've got a lot of, like, here we do a monthly market report for you. You can absolutely make that part of your 33 touch nice and easy. Okay, cool. So who said door knocking was, no one said door knocking was part of their thing. You said no to door knocking. Okay, is door knocking part of anyone's plan? Abu and Brian, okay, all right. So, and this works for all lead gen, but let's just go with the focused example of door knocking. So how do you actually make that an effective lead generation pillar? Like, what do you do when you knock on someone's door? Yeah.
I door knock on businesses.
You can also confirm this is the revised one.
I hate it.
I know.
Okay, that's
Sorry.
fine. No worries.
You know?
Do you mind passing those?
Sure.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Abu, go ahead.
I was saying I door knock on business owners, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah, okay. But maybe it's not that different. What do you bring them?
If I go over there and they're busy, I'll wait till we finish what we're doing, and then I'll ask them first they're the owner, if not, if the owner's available. And if they work with me, I'll talk to the owner and I'll introduce myself, I'll tell them what I do.
Yep.
I'll ask him, well, I'll go straight to the point, ask him if he's thinking of selling.
Yeah.
Or investing in
Okay.
that kind of business. Sometimes they'll say no, leave, or they'll just try to talk to you like, what do you do, da, 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 and I'll give them my business card, I'll talk to them about what I do and about what their plan is.
Yeah.
Go from there.
Okay. So you're straight to the point with who you are and what you want.
Yeah.
Okay. This works for all lead gen. That's great. I love that. And then your point of value is what? Like, why do they care who you are and what you do?
I ask them about their plan
Yeah, okay.
and what they're looking to get out of what they're doing. And I'll tell them I can have step-by-step guide how to help you invest in more money.
Okay, so you show them that you're a consultant in whatever it is that they're trying to do. So for you, it happens to be businesses. For the rest of you, it's real estate, right?
And same thing with real estate too.
Yeah, yeah.
They're
Okay.
sometimes the owner of the building as well.
So how does that translate to cold calling?
You have to have a purpose or like a reason for your call.
Mhm.
Show that there's value to the time they're spending, that they're talking to you about whatever it is you're talking about.
Right. And how would you imagine that being done? I know you haven't done it yet for
Yeah.
real estate, but
If I can relate it again to my previous job, it's assessing what they're looking for, what their
Mhm.
needs are, and then tailoring it to, again, tailoring the conversation to what their needs are.
yeah, okay, okay. How do you build rapport though? Like if you're cold calling someone, like, no, I don't want to talk to some random agent. It's like, and again, true for all lead gen, even Abu when he's walking in, like, why would my guard not be up? Or how do you take my guard down, I guess?
I'd say find something relatable.
Mhm.
If you've done like previous research, I say if you found them on like social media or something, and for example, if I don't know if they're a 49ers fan,
Mhm.
kind of spark conversation about football or something.
But that takes so long to do all that research on every single person I'm calling. What else we got? Yeah.
Say, one thing about door knocking is just getting straight to the point. Even
Yeah.
phone call, they
Yeah.
don't want to waste any time. You have like 10 seconds to get straight to the point. And if they say yes or no, and then that's it. Just
Right.
one more time.
Yeah, so that's one way to treat it. It's a numbers game. Like you might get someone like fishing, right? You might catch a fish on the hook and you can actually have a conversation. I personally I want to increase the numbers though. I want more relational conversations. So I'd rather not hear no 80 times and yes once. I want a few more, oh, that's interesting, let's talk some more kind of conversation. That's me personally. Your strategy, great. So if we're trying to build a relationship and build rapport, because again, the idea here is we want to not only sell them something, but we want to get them in our database because we met them and push them towards the middle. That's true. Like when you meet a business owner, even if the answer is no, I'm not looking to sell, like we can still push them towards the center, right? But how do we do that?
Sometimes I'll tell them, be like, I wouldn't say why. I'd be like, tell me more about that.
Mm-hmm.
What is your reason?
Yeah.
What do you plan to do?
Yep.
What are you interested in for your future?
Yep.
I'll just try to question. Sometimes they'll just tell me, please leave.
Yeah.
I got more customers to help with. Stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. So ask questions,
Yeah.
build a relationship.
What
Yeah.
about providing them information? Like market details, things of that nature.
Yeah. Sometimes that works, but how do you know they're interested in even hearing the information?
After you, I guess, build rapport.
Yeah,
Or
okay,
not build
okay.
rapport, but kind of figure out what their needs are, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And you figure out their needs through asking questions.
Right.
Yeah. I guess that's really the point here. Is let's ask some questions, even if it's as simple as like, hey, I'm the local real estate neighborhood expert, and I'm just curious, like, how long have you been in this house? Like, what if we just started with that? Or what do you love about this neighborhood? I see you've been here for 3 years. You must love it here. And they might say, no, I hate it. Like, cool. Let's list this thing. But go in asking questions and building that relationship. Because even if they're not buying or selling, if you build that relationship, you get them in here and you start moving them towards the center in your database where they will be referring you business. Does that make sense? It's a relational game.
Yeah, I had, on my cold call, things like to big, yeah, my line is, hi, would you like to have hi, I'm whatever, I introduce myself, and would you like to have some reports to know the value of your house?
Yeah.
I mean, people are very nice, nobody thinks so.
Yeah.
Yet.
Right.
And she said, no, thank you, I know the value of my house. I said, okay. So now I'm working on changing my script.
Yeah.
Because when they tell you that, it's like, oh.
Well, what's a good response for that?
Tell me more about that.
Yeah. Like, oh, yeah, what do you think the value of your house is? Like,
Yeah, she says, I know the value, and then my next line is like, do you know anybody who wants to buy or sell?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't get to there yet.
Right,
It's
right.
like, she told me that she was nice, I said, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it could also be like, oh, so you know the value, so it must be important to you to know the value. Why is the value of your home important to you?
That's an active.
And then maybe it's,
Question.
yeah, because maybe it's because I'm thinking about selling my home, right? It's not really important to most people over the long run if they're going to stay in the house for ages and ages. But people want to know what the value is before they move. So that might be the why is that important question. Like that is, oh man, that's such a powerful one. Even if you just asked, do you want to know the value? No, I know it. Oh, cool. Why is that important? And then you build rapport and build a relationship and see where it takes you. All right, where was I? Door knocking. Okay, any other thoughts about the actual action of lead gen?
So what's your perspective about getting these leads as provided by the third-party companies, like they call it leads, or referrals?
Yeah.
What's your general perspective on that? Is it worth spending the money that they ask for?
Sometimes. I had a lot of success with Zillow in the olden days when Zillow provided good leads.
Yeah. Now they send it to 5 guys at the same time. That's the
Right.
problem, right?
Yeah, and yeah, up in Oakland where my business is, it's all for below market rate units, and it's a mess. So it depends. It depends on the source, and then we got to hold those leads accountable. And different lead sources are going to provide different quality of leads, like essentially a different place in the funnel. Like Facebook leads is way up here somewhere. Zillow leads used to be further down, like they're ready for an appointment. They looked at a house and want to go see it.
Do you have some recommendations or just below it?
Find a model that works and nail it. Yeah, I mean, I've heard that everything, like I talk to agents all the time, and like for some it's Realtor.com, for some it's Zillow, for some it's whatever. But those same people will say that all the others don't work, right? So it just depends on the activity that you're doing
There's so
to
many
follow
out
up.
there now.
Yeah, there are.
Right, it's like, where do you put your money, you know?
Right.
End of the day, they just want a chunk of your income.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
I think before you even start looking at internet leads, you gotta work on your own database and the lowest hanging fruit first, like your sphere and data, your sphere of past clients and all that.
Yeah.
But I would say too, before you even do internet leads, what's your system? And you should look at your systems and see if you can even handle internet leads. Because if you're not equipped to be the first person to call them or talk to them within the first like 5 minutes, it's very hard to convert them.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
you can say, right, speed to lead
Yes.
for internet leads.
Mhm.
Especially if they're sending it out to like 5 different agents, right?
Right,
You have to
yeah.
be the early bird gets the
Yeah,
work.
within less 30 seconds, you want to be there, you want to be able to contact them.
Right.
Because they're in the process of looking at a house. So
Yeah.
when it's
Yeah.
engaging, it's coming to you, you want to make sure
Yeah,
you're.
and
Yep.
then,
And
and you
if-
gotta know what scripts to say. But anyways, going back to that, you just gotta, instead of just throwing money into it, you have the systems put in place.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah. So if you aren't available to answer the call, then it's not going to work. The speed to lead, any speed to lead program is not going to work.
But then also the follow-up too, so.
Yeah.
Like, what I mean by that is like automated text messaging, and then calling, and then auto emails, and the next day, it's a system put in place, like a smart plan, but
Yeah.
one that fits your kind of style.
Yeah. And you can, run through this, I guess a practice run with yourself. Like, all right, here's 5 internet leads. Like, imagine it. Like, what do you do? What do you do? Like, you got to drop everything, right? And then, and what system would actually need to exist? The ability to call them right away, the ability to put them in the database and get them on a smart plan or action plan to consistently follow up, which includes phone calls in the future. Like, do you have the systems and ability to execute on those systems? And I find that most agents have one or the other. They either have the systems but don't actually follow the system, or they have the ability to follow a system but they don't have a system. And then there's actually no follow-up that happens in either case. So both are quite important. Yeah.
I would say your sphere is the most important.
Yes. Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many of your friends that you haven't spoken to well would know, well, how would you want?
Yeah.
So I would just call every single person I know right away.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just to talk to them about anything. you know?
Right. Yeah. Use the Ford conversations, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Yeah. And yeah, just have a conversation with people that already like you. And then, of course, let them know that you're doing real estate. But after you ask them a bunch of questions, build that rapport. Yeah. Well, this talks about referrals, but again, in any lead gen, like, so you knock on someone's door, you're like, you have a great conversation about the value of their property or whatever, and then they ask, well, why do I care? Like, what's so special about you? Why would I want to hire you? What do you say?
You'll make my dream a reality.
Yeah, well, twist that around. I'll make your dream a reality. Yeah, sure. That might be your what makes you unique. What else?
I think you have to sell your knowledge, right? Your key strength that you have.
Okay, we're in an elevator. We're going down 3 stories to tell me why I should care about what you do. Go.
Pocket scratching, sell.
You're gonna pull the little emergency stop button. So, yeah, I mean the elevator pitch, like it's called that for a reason. Like you got to be ready to demonstrate what makes you unique in a very short amount of time, because that's what you have. Even when they're right there in front of you.
Absolutely.
I'm sure Abu's experienced that with like someone just walked in the door. Like crap, I got 5 more seconds to get my point across before this business owner says goodbye. So that's the next question. Like, what is?
That is you quickly tune into what they want. You have to know before you walk in that building. Hey, what do you notice about this business before you walk in?
Right.
Is he doing well? Is he suffering? Sometimes you look at an owner, you look at his face physically, you think that he's exhausted. He just wants to get out.
Or you can look around and see that it's kind of a mess and he's overwhelmed. Yeah, that's absolutely.
Even on a residential, you walk into a property, you see his lawns are not done, it's really messy, it's like,
yeah,
they want to get out of this house. So.
Yes, so you can.
Happy to pay your bills every month, like taxes, everything. Are you comfortable? Like these kind of questions we get, right?
Right.
Yeah, or I mean, for a business owner, which is the same, kind of the same script I use on an open house. It's just like, how's it going? Like at an open house, like how's your search going? Like you must have seen a dozen houses today, or gotten outbid 18 times already. Like how's it going? And same with the business owner.
But investing, we can give them advice of investing.
Right.
Like if you sell your house, you can have like a nice cheap house, and the rest of the money you can invest also.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is a lot of salespeople or a lot of our agents get into very personal things very quickly. You kind of you have to build a rapport. People will not just give you this because you showed up.
Right.
At the end of the day, if you just get into the sphere in some way, even like you mentioned earlier, if you can tweet into him or tweaking to his system and say, how's business,
Yeah.
Especially after COVID,
Right.
if half of the customers, if I walked in or clients, I said, how's business? The first thing they said, pretty bad.
Yeah.
So how are you surviving? Are you paying your rent?
Yeah.
Then the question comes, how are you making your days go? How are you making your payments?
Yep. So you're building rapport through asking questions, and then you're ready to tell them what makes you special. So you have that conversation. Yeah, business is terrible. Like, great, I can help. Like, okay, so why do I care about you? Like, what is your unique? Yes, yes. So that's where we are now in the conversation. Yeah, unique value proposition. So do you have one?
Yeah.
You have one. Okay.
You have to have your value proposition.
Can you say it in a sentence? One sentence. Tell me your unique value proposition.
I'm knowledgeable in the industry.
Okay.
In the market at the moment and the economy, because end of the business people want to see the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
How's the numbers looking?
Okay.
So your knowledge, you sell on your knowledge and experience.
Yeah. How do we make it even more unique? Because I'd like to think that we all have market knowledge and can use data.
You could tell somebody your niche.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because even if they're not in your niche, it starts the conversation, and then it leads to, well, I can also help you.
Yeah. Do you want to share do you have one?
Yeah, I help first-time ever buyers buy their first house, or I help buyers upgrade to their next house.
Okay, great. Cool. Mine is, I help people build wealth through real estate. Short and sweet. Sometimes I leave off the real estate part. I help people build wealth. Okay. Then people ask questions, like, how do you do that? There you go. Yeah.
I read online of a guy who's been a broker for over like, incentives would be like, here's a list of the senior report, and 6 of those listings I sold just recently.
Yeah.
They'll just throw a CMA report with his
Yep.
sold homes.
So
And
if
the
you
owner will see
have,
that and be like, oh, you know what you're doing.
right, so if you have that sort of market share, that's a great part of your unique value proposition. If you can say, I sell 90% of houses in this neighborhood. Cool. I don't have that, but if you do, that's a great one. Okay, so
Our
who?
office does.
Yeah, and you can use that too. Like if you
Yeah,
if you
we can
find,
use the name.
yeah,
Honestly, I use you a lot too.
Yeah.
When I talk to him, because he's my team lead, I was like, my
Yeah.
team lead has 20 years experience. We sell businesses, we're the only ones in our office to sell business.
yeah,
Try to
So
get
there was a time in this area, I still have 50% of listings.
yeah.
Until Apple came on board, now he's taking off. No, I'm serious. That's very true. If you just share your experience and even if it's your office
Yeah.
or your colleagues at work, say, hey, we have good market share.
Mhm.
Like one thing I sell to my other agents in the industry, say, hey, we have 200,000 agents.
Yeah.
Join us, a bigger force.
That's right. Yeah,
You know?
we sell more real estate than any other
Anybody
company on
else.
planet
So-
Earth.
So some people start listening in, oh, I thought it was just small. Fremont
True
people.
statement, by the way.
Yeah.
Adding it to my list, Joe.
And the biggest referral network on planet Earth. Okay, so if you don't have one of these, like, put that on your homework list to come up with a unique value proposition. Fact: 73% of sellers contacted only one agent before. Okay. Okay, we'll keep moving. So these are some rules for how to develop a unique value proposition. And I guess the last one is a pretty important one. Like, what do people actually want to hear from you? Based on your target audience, your target market, target group, whatever it was referred to. So if you're looking for a specific neighborhood, then you might want neighborhood stats. I sell more houses than anyone else in the neighborhood, for example. If you're looking for a specific, oh, yeah, do you have something? No, okay, sorry. Okay. If you're looking for a certain, like a learning-based type person, then you might want to have your unique value proposition include something about education. I educate people through the home buying journey, for example. Yeah. Okay, we good on unique value proposition? If you don't have one, you know what you need to create one? Maybe? Blank stares all around. All right, well, we got to keep moving, so stop me.
How about the new agents? Like if they ask,
Yeah.
like if this is my first time, right?
Yep.
And the first door I know from the door, and if they ask how many houses you sold,
Yeah,
Avoid the question.
how can I switch the question? Or
yeah. Well, you can answer it with my team sells blah. Your team being this office.
This office, yeah.
Like are you new agents? or-
Leverage
Yeah.
Keller Williams.
Right, yeah. Leverage the whole office.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Like we've sold X number of listings this month or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's totally, I mean, if they ask you specifically,
Yeah.
oh, that's cool that your office sold that many. How many have you sold? You can't lie.
You will be my first
Well,
time.
it's a kind of caveat that you can say that other agents may not have the bandwidth to take on your
Yep.
clientele.
Yep.
And you can, give, 100% above and beyond to that client.
Right, and you have the support of 110 agents in your office. You have a team. Also, you can lean on that all day long.
And it's very true also. It's very strong proposition to many people.
You can
Just
also
being alone,
share.
Yeah, no, I say, yeah, that's a strong, from a customer's perspective, when you want to sell, you want to make sure that you know what you're doing, or you have a system in place that knows what to do for you, In life, we can't do everything, you can't change the oil in a car and drive the car, you just don't know how to change what's on us.
Yep.
Like my daughter, she just knows how to pump, if there's a tire blown up, she doesn't know what to do. That's why you have other service providers.
That's right.
Yeah, we have service providers. The office is your service provider that can meet all other needs. So you don't have to say everything yes to everything. And sometimes in life, truly, when you don't have something skill, just tell them I don't know this.
Yep.
It's not bad.
Be honest and confident.
Yeah, people
Actually,
trust
I
you
would
more.
suggest you might be new in this field, but you might have different experience in other fields, and you can
Exactly.
definitely share that.
Yes.
Okay, I'm new in this, I just got my license and I'm working, but I have experience with some sales or whatever you have done.
Yep.
And I really enjoy this, so I'm doing this now.
Yes. And I work with a team so that you're fully supported.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this honesty and transparency is very important. I mean,
Yeah.
we talk about disclosures in real estate a lot. A lot of the people who deal with you is because they trust you and they believe in you.
Yeah.
Not because how many degrees you have and how many licenses you have and how many houses you sold.
And it's
So
how
that's
you
the key.
show up, like you have
Yeah.
to show up, like, you have to get your first deal, right? So you have to believe that there's a reason why that person will hire you. So when you go for it, you go for it and you use the office to back you up, but you say, I've aligned myself with one of the most powerful teams and we're here to help you.
Exactly.
And they say yes.
A lot of it too is, are you likable? Like, they have to like you to do business with you
Yes.
as well, right? So if you utilize that.
Yes. And that, well, that's always been my challenge. Not that I'm not likable, but I am very not outgoing, right? So I have to figure out how to dial up my, like what I know that I'm good at. I'm very data driven and can be very empathetic, but I'm not a closer. I have no D in my disc and very little I. And so I have to, when I first started in real estate, like how do I project my in the disc, it's an S and a C, my data-driven nature and my empathy, the fact that like people tend to trust in me. And so that's what it was all about. Like I'm not gonna fake what I don't have, I'm just going to accentuate what I do have. And we all have something, like there's reasons that we're here and that people will work with us. We just have to figure out what those are, which ties into this, your unique value proposition.
For new agents, I will add something like, the rejection should not disappoint you, it's a learning.
No,
Yeah.
I don't care about
So
rejection.
next time you are ready with the answers, whenever you face the second person.
No, I don't fear about
You
it
are-
because I just want to learn.
Yeah.
I don't care if how the person in front of me is judging me or not. I started my life in the USA alone, independently, 6 or 7 years ago.
Mhm.
I got a job in a law firm.
Exactly.
Without
You know
I
a lot of
applied.
things.
Yeah. So, yeah, sometime, but yeah, learning, practice.
Yeah. Yep.
Use that aspiration when you're talking to like
Yeah.
clients, right? And
So
it
you already
shows
have,
that-
you can read contracts
shows that
very
you have
well.
grit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many things you can add in.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Something that can help me as a new agent is sacrificing, like doing free things for people.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, how can I help you? If you need anything, I'll do anything you need me to do. Do favors for them, help them out, answer questions, answer the call at 12 a.m. Show them you're there and ready to go.
Like
Like, oh, this
care
guy's
for them.
serious. They want to work with you at all.
Yes, I'm gonna go with yes and.
Yes,
I think there's a line there because people also respect boundaries.
I went the extra route.
Yeah. Like I would be hesitant to say doing things for free. Like I'm providing value so that we're building a business-minded relationship. And I may say I'm not going to answer calls after, even as a new agent. Like my phone goes off, like I'm available more than most agents, but my phone goes off at 9 p.m. or whatever your boundary is. Yeah. And maybe you don't have a boundary, and I can respect that. Okay. All right, let's keep moving. So this is kind of Legion goal here. Well, this combines, if you remember, the 3 hard things that most people don't like to do. What was it? Lead gen, scheduling, and then, oh my goodness, self-mastery, learning stuff. So this is where we combine the first 2. Like, what needs to happen to fill our database? And this is an example, not necessarily your, but what standards do we have to hold for ourselves to get us to our goal? So this is an example of standards, is that you're going to talk to more people. You're going to talk to at least 10 people and aim to get in front of 2 of them in person. And that might mean sphere of influence, coffee dates, whatever. And you're going to do it also by 10 in the morning. Any reaction to that?
10 in the morning. That's gonna be
Own the morning, own the day. Again, this is an example, so you may finesse yours. But this is a business by design, not default. This is being purposeful, not entrepreneurial. This is defining what you want and how to get it. And we're going to go through a whole exercise and put it down on paper, what you're going to do. This is an example. Okay, so we talked about most of this. Ask lots of questions. Listen, listen to what you are hearing. I love that phrase. Listen to what you're hearing. What are you hearing? Are you actually paying attention? I hear people on the phone that they don't even care what the other person says. They're just going to answer with whatever their script says. Don't do that. Listen.
Listening,
Yeah, listen to what you're hearing.
It's more powerful.
And then you can cue in on, like, what was the example we came up with? Well, why is that important to you, that you already know the value of your house? It must be important then. Yeah. Ask more questions. I love the last one. Don't try to be interesting. Work at being interested, and you show up as interested when you ask questions. So do more of that. We sometimes among the team here, the staff here, we do an exercise that is to not answer questions, but to only answer with questions as practice in asking better questions. So if someone's asking something of you, like, well, why is that important to you? Like, just get in the habit of digging deeper instead of just blindly responding. And that's a valuable skill in, well, any sales or customer service, but it'll do wonders for your business. Ask more questions. What would that look like to not answer a question except by asking a question?
Like a question battle.
A question battle. Yeah, at some point it gets ridiculous. It's true. But usually the other person will just answer the question that you're asking. That's what makes it powerful. And then, the person that asks the questions holds the power in the conversation too. You can steer it exactly where you want it to go, which is a skill. Yeah. Anyone want to practice asking questions? Who wants to cold call me? No one? Abu, thank you. Hi.
Ring.
Hello.
Hi, is this Joe?
Speaking.
Hey, how are you? My name is Abu with KW Commercial. How's your day going?
Oh, it's going well, thank you.
Good. I don't mean to take up too much of your time, but I just want to ask you a simple question. I see that you're the owner of this property on 123 Main Street, and I just want to see if you're interested in selling.
Nope, not right now.
Really? Tell me more about that. What is your plan?
My plan, it's been a rental for years, and I'm planning to stick with it.
Okay. If you're interested, I have a few buyers who are interested in making offers. This is my phone number. You can call me anytime you'd like. And one more question before I let you go. Do you know anyone in the area who's thinking of selling or investing in property?
No, I moved out of the area, so it's my last rental in the area.
Really? And you're still holding on to it? Okay. All right. No problem. Well, thank you for your time. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Sierra?
Do we have more questions we could have asked?
CMA? Offering the CMA?
Find out why they're still holding on to it.
Properties work.
Yes. Why are
Your
we?
properties work.
Yeah. Why are we holding it? What's it worth? What else can we ask?
Where did you move to?
Where'd you? Yeah. How's the investment performing? Do you want a valuation?
Yeah, I would have definitely get you on that, because you're out of the area already.
Yeah, why'd you move out of the
You know,
area?
why
Right.
you're owning it,
Yeah.
right?
And then
Are
when
you
you
planning
find
to
out
come
where
back to the area?
Exactly. Are you coming back? Why aren't you investing where you live now?
Yeah.
Would you be interested in trading up to a bigger property closer to where you live?
Would you be interested in any more investment properties there? You said you had some maybe before.
Yep.
And the last question is, who's managing it for you?
Who's
Yeah.
managing?
For you.
Absolutely. How is, yeah, I mean, how bad is it to own a property locally? Man, when I talk to landlords in
Oh, no,
Oakland,
wait,
it's
come
such an easy conversation, like, how's it going? It's like, oh, it's the worst. Yeah, I know.
Especially with all the rent control stuff that's going on
Exactly.
right now,
Yeah. Like, what do you think about the new laws that are on the books to be passed?
Concord, Pleasant Hill, they're
Yep.
really pushing for.
Yep. I think the reason I don't ask enough questions is because every time I try to hang up on
Because of what?
Yeah.
So I try to get straight to the point so they don't think I'm wasting their time.
Yes.
So that's why I gotta ask more questions.
Understood, yes. And that's true. Like, when you're cold calling, you don't have any rapport, you're gonna get a lot of hangups. And that's part of it.
Job.
You have to be okay with it.
Yeah.
And figure out strategies to ask enticing questions that'll elicit a response to keep the conversation going.
People love to talk about themselves. So
Right.
Get them to talk about themselves.
There you go.
All of a sudden,
Yeah.
They just go and
Joe
go
was
and
talking
go.
about Ford earlier.
I don't like to do cold calls, but open houses, I get somebody to talk to me for 20 minutes, get their
Yeah.
phone number, have coffee with them the next day, get a client.
I had a guy who I cold called, and I asked him, are you selling, blah, 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 have a buyer who's interested in making an offer? He said, look, man, I have 50 gas stations to manage, I don't have time for this anymore. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, well, that's just, yeah, bad timing.
What
The
did
thing
he say?
is,
It's 50 gas
I have
stations?
50 gas stations to manage, I don't have time for this anymore.
yeah,
Well, that's good, you should go see him, support your.
That's
mom.
right.
I tried to
Yeah.
call back during this.
No, no,
Yeah.
go see him,
I don't know what he was, I texted him and he was like, please stop
track him
texting.
down. No.
you're gonna get that. That's okay. It's it's a numbers game. And so that one's gone.
Barclays or something.
He told you to not text, so please don't text again.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that's gonna happen. But it's when we do get people on the hook, how do we keep them interested? So maybe it's like, why did you buy an investment property in the first place? Like, oh, I lived there for a while and then moved away. Why'd you keep it at that time?
Go on LinkedIn, see his friends and family. I'm not kidding.
GT's gonna track him
You lose
down.
one and you gain 10.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Plus you're still alive and
You
breathing.
might, yeah, remember I talked to you on the phone.
Was that a helpful exercise?
Very good.
Question asking? Awesome. So see if you can do it more than what feels natural. Push yourself beyond your comfort level for asking questions. Don't take okay for an answer, just respond with a question. Don't try to argue. It's not about arguing. It's just like, oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting point of view. Why is that important to you? That's my go-to.
You ask how are you, I never ask how are you.
I
'Cause they
do
have-
I? I don't
When I
know.
say how are you, they're going, who's this?
Right.
Forget it.
Hi, this is one that I would you like to have? Right away.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's
Yeah.
Who's this? How'd you get my, you know?
How do you get my number?
Okay, that's no problem. How'd you get my number? My admin,
My probate gave it to
no,
me.
no, no, my admin gave it to me. Well, when are you planning on selling?
Yeah, that's right. So you answered a question, but like just keep going. Yeah, I like that. Awesome.
That's good.
All right, let's talk about accountability real quick. So part of being a successful business owner, which you all are, like it or not, you're running your own business, is to actually make sure that you're taking action on the things that will get you the results that you're looking for. And so these are some of the things that to think about and look at and do in your daily life. Record what you are actually doing. And this might surprise you, actually. Let's take this a step further. It's easy to record. I made 18 dials, I talked to 4 people, I set 1 appointment, whatever. But what if we took that, Alex Kim is calling, why isn't he here? So what if we take that to the next level? Like, what if we recorded what we're doing all day long? Like every 15 minutes. Well, I just spent the last 15 minutes responding to an email. Like, well, could you have done that in 3? And you'll start to see patterns in your behavior that perhaps can be fixed. Like, whoops, I scrolled Instagram for 40 minutes. Like, okay, let's uninstall Instagram. It can be incredibly insightful to see what it is that you're actually doing. Or someone walked in my office and I spent 30 minutes with them. And, okay, what value did you get out of that? None? Okay, maybe we need to set boundaries. Anyway, so that's, and that kind of goes with put a price on your activities. Like how much is your activity worth to you? Do you guys know your hourly rate? And do you think about it, about your time as if it's worth something? No? No? Who knows their hourly rates? Okay. Who wants to guess at what their hourly rate should be? I know you don't charge by the hour, but when you calculate out, like, this is my goal, I work 30 hours a week or whatever it is, and therefore I should be earning X number of dollars an hour.
Minimum charge $250.
$250 an hour.
If there's someone doesn't give me below $250 an hour.
Yep, okay. So I guess the question for you then is, when you're going throughout your day, are you thinking about your time as worth $250 an hour? Okay, so when you're having a conversation, is that going on in your mind? Is this worth, is that $4 a minute? Did I do that math right? Is this conversation worth $4 a minute?
Yes, so yeah, I'm beginning to learn. So I know my friend recently told me, cut out the people just drags you down.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we go Saturday morning, have a coffee, you have a group of friends to go with, or you want to go with a client.
Yep.
So you gotta kind of balance things out rather than just go at like neutral.
Yeah.
It does make you think sometimes.
Yeah, your life will change if you treat your time as if you had to pay yourself an hourly rate.
Yeah. That's true.
So like when we're done here, start writing checks to yourself. Like, all right, well that conversation cost me $10. It was only 2 minutes, but or whatever your rate is.
Right.
Yeah, man, it can change things. And it will lead into leverage. Like, all right, if your hourly rate's $250 and you just responded to an email that an admin could have responded, or your VA, like, was it worth it? Or doing, if you're working on a disclosure package for a listing, like, well, could that have been leveraged out for much cheaper than you would have paid yourself? So these are some examples of leverage. Because all of these things get in the way of your job. Talking to people about real estate, asking for referrals, negotiating deals, closing contracts. Any thoughts about leverage and what you can do to better leverage? Give me a thought. Oops. I do owe Alex a combo code. He's showing a real interesting property of mine.
I have an
Yes.
interesting thought on this. So,
Yeah.
I actually only recently got a transaction coordinator, and I went to a mastermind a couple of weeks ago with really successful agents and their team leaders, and they were all shocked to hear that I had managed to do so much production with no help.
Yeah.
But I was like, why would I pay somebody to do it? And I can just stick the files in there. It's not that big of a deal. And then it occurred to me later that the reason why I would hire a transaction coordinator and just hand that off is because I could use even that little bit of extra time to do even more things that a transaction coordinator couldn't possibly do.
Yep.
So even though I had a hard time, like, what is that whole thing, like skipping over $1 to pick up a nickel? I forget how to say it, but it's that whole, like, I'm sitting here thinking about saving $400 when I could be thinking about how to make $4,000 in that hour that I spent
Yes.
doing the paperwork. So
Right.
that was really a big shift for me, because I was like, every dollar counts right now, especially with the market shifting like this. But how could I utilize my strengths more? And then, like you said, leverage out.
Yeah. So what are some other obvious pieces of leverage that we should be doing, but perhaps we're not, given that our rate might be $100, $200, $300 an hour? How about a house cleaner? Are we cleaning our own houses? Yeah. Something to think about. I mean, depends how much time you spend on it, or maybe it's a cathartic experience and you listen to your book or meditate while you're cleaning. I don't know. But for most people, that's an example of leverage. Hire a house cleaner, because it's a lot less expensive than writing yourself that however many $100 check every week. Okay. All right, let's keep moving. Let's get to the planning thing. Oh, should we talk about attitude real quick? I want to talk real quick about number 4, defining your mission. Being clear, crystal clear about what it is that you want to achieve and what it takes to attain it. So it says cost. Sometimes it's money, but often it's effort, time, focus, energy. So define your mission. What is your mission? You have a why, which is tied to some dollar amount. So what is your mission?
My mission is to be the best version of myself I can be.
Okay. And? There's a little and there.
My mission is to be the best real estate agent I can be.
Okay. Yeah, being the best version. So the reason that I paused there is, like, the best version of myself, for example, might be spending most of a day in a field under a tree meditating or something, right? Like it doesn't get me the outcome though. If my outcome is to hang out with my kids and buy them houses or whatever, I need money to do that, and so I'm not going to get that sitting in a field meditating, even though I might be completely at peace and the best version of myself. Anyway, so that's that was that pushback there. Okay, yeah, so being the best agent you can be and getting clear about what needs to happen and staying accountable to that outcome. Cool. All right, well, let's get accountable to the outcome then. And so let's do this real quick. Staying accountable means understanding what's important. Anyone know what the 4 quadrants are? Cool, that's fine. And I hate that it's not labeled, so I get to write on here. Gotta come back to my funnel. 4 quadrants are ways to think about your life. What is urgent and important goes in this quadrant. What is not urgent, but still important, that quadrant. What is urgent but not important, and then what is not urgent and not important. So when we think about everything that comes up in life, when my phone rings and Alex Kim was calling, where do you think that falls?
Urgent, but not important.
It's urgent. Yeah, it was not important. Exactly. Urgent, not important. I had a break, I texted him back. Boom, done. Someone walks into your office, for those that have an office, and interrupts you. How's your day? Hey, did you catch the game last night? Where does that fall?
Not urgent.
Not urgent, not important.
Yes, and they made it urgent. That's the problem. So if we say, oh yeah, the game was great, what did you think about the halftime show or whatever? You just made it urgent. So that's where we have to set boundaries for ourselves. Recognize that actually I'm in the middle of my lead gen time. Can we talk about this at my 2 o'clock break or whatever? Then it's not urgent, not important. What about lead gen in general? Where does that go?
Urgent.
Urgent and important.
What's that?
1.
1? You think it's urgent and important? Yeah, I think it's not urgent, but it's important. Because does it need to happen right now? Why aren't you doing it right now? Because you're here. So it must not be urgent, or you'd be doing it. And I think we think about that, or that's happens in our day-to-day lives all the time. Like, I'll do it later. So we.
Like if you are free, then this urgent and important. But if you are already with someone, with buyer or seller, that's important.
Yes. Yes. So it's a framework to think about what we're doing throughout the day. But yeah, I would say lead gen generally falls over here. And the problem is, where do you think we live as humans? Which quadrants? We live over here. We live in urgency. Whatever's in front of us now, that's the thing that has to happen. An email comes in, gotta reply. A text, gotta respond. Phone call. Someone walks into our office. Got a news alert on my phone. Right? Like this is where we want to live naturally. But where we should live is here, in important land. That means we handle urgent, important things, for sure, and we focus on the not urgent, but still important things. And we be disciplined about it. That doesn't mean that to look at this another way, do, delay, the 4 Ds, delegate, and delete. So, ways to think about what to do when these things come up. So if you've got something urgent and important, do it. Like, that makes sense, right? It's urgent, it's important, just get it done. If you've got something that's urgent but not important, maybe you can kick the can or figure out who else can help them, or whatever it is. Or delegates to, instead of a phone call, a text message. That's an example of delegation. If it's not urgent, not important, maybe it just goes away. Do we need to talk about the halftime show? Probably not. And then urgent and important, not urgent but important, still needs to happen. But if you've got this stuff, this happens first, generally speaking. Okay, so that's the 4 quadrants. So think about how to manage your time according to what is important in your world. And obviously, everyone's world has different things that are important. You might have a kid that needs a lot of that importance, and that's okay. Okay, cool. Let's pass out. Did Harshita pass out stuff?
Yeah.
2 pages?
One.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
One action goal worksheet.
Okay, let me get the other one. Hey, Miss Rita, do you still have the other page? The one I hate? Can you pass that out to everyone too? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna create with our last 15 minutes or so a 1-page business plan to focus on what needs to actually happen. So Archita's going to pass around one more form. So the new form that you're getting, this is your 1-page business plan. This is your GPS. Who knows what GPS stands for? It probably says it on the form, doesn't it? It doesn't?
Does not.
No.
Okay, good. Who wants to guess what GPS stands for?
Goal, purpose, strategy.
Goal, priorities, and strategies. Yes.
Sorry,
No, that's okay. It's good. So we're going to start with the one goal. So you'll see it's broken out where there's one goal. There's only one goal that we're talking about in your business. Your business needs to be focused on a single outcome. And then we're going to find some number of priorities that all go to support that goal. That's the piece. There might be 1, there might be 4, there might be hopefully not more than 5. It gets kind of crazy. And then you have strategies that are required to accomplish each priority. So this is going to be your 1-page business plan. So who wants to be a guinea pig? We'll just walk through each thing. No one. Make me call. You don't have one yet. Will you participate?
Sure.
Awesome. All right. What's your goal for the year? Or the next 6 months, I guess.
Next 6 months.
Let's assume you get licensed tomorrow. Just
Okay. To get my first listing.
Okay. That's your big goal for the year.
Well, okay, not for the year. I haven't really thought about this. I guess the big goal for the year would be to just really establish my business.
Okay. What does that look like?
Having multiple listings, having a good, decent pipeline.
Okay. And what is the outcome?
The outcome would be not only continuous lead generation by referrals, but also continuous income flow.
Cool. Okay. All right. We got to define some stuff. Anyone know what a SMART goal is?
Yes.
You do. Okay.
Measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound.
Specific, measurable, attainable. You said realistic.
Realistic.
I prefer to go with relevant.
Relevant.
And time bound. Relevant because if you have a goal that doesn't support your why, then why does that goal even matter? So that's why I like relevance. Okay, so let's come up with a SMART goal then.
Okay.
So specific, go.
Specific, would it be establishing my business, right?
How do you know that you accomplished that goal?
Okay, let's say having multiple listings.
Okay, how many?
Let's go with 6 months. Would 3 be realistic?
Sure. Yeah.
3.
Okay, 3 listings. 3 listings signed, 3 listings closed, 3 listings in escrow.
3 listings signed.
Okay. 3 signed listings. So for many of you, this is probably a units closed sort of goal or a GCI earned. Specific though, that's the important. So this is specific. 3 signed listings. So that's great. Is it measurable?
Yes.
We know that we accomplish it because you have 3 signed listings. Awesome. Is it attainable?
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it relevant to your purpose?
Absolutely.
Okay. And is it time bound?
Yeah, because we have until the end of the year.
Because we said by end of year. Okay. By end of year. Okay. How are we all doing on the one big goal for your business? Anyone need help? Is it SMART? Anyone want to share? You especially don't. Share your goal.
To get a real estate license was my biggest goal for
Yeah.
this year.
Okay.
I got that.
Congratulations. Yeah.
That's all my biggest goal.
Yeah.
And yeah, I cleared that.
Yeah.
So I'm also running a small business which I started last year.
Okay.
And that is established, but I want to see that business to be grow this year to gain some profit from that.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, for real estate, for me, knowledge is more important right now. I don't want to be I want to be a little smart in that. At least I have some questions and clarity what's going on
Yep.
in the business.
Okay.
And then slowly, I want to be slow.
Okay. That's great. And we've got to figure out how to make it specific. So I
Okay,
think on that.
Let's go with.
Like, how do you?
two.
Okay, well, I'm not. It doesn't necessarily need to be like
Yeah.
if your goal is to end the year with a level of competence or knowledge or whatever, that's fine. And if that means 0 closings, okay. But we still need to be able to measure it.
Yeah. Okay, just try. Just go with two.
Two.
side
Okay.
listings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Cool. Okay. And it's relevant for your.
Relevant, yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So let's keep working through. So all of you have some goal. 3 signs, 2 signs, probably some GCI numbers, units sold, whatever. Awesome. So then the question is, how do we break that down? What three-ish priorities do you need to accomplish, or sub goals, if you want to think about it that way, in order to reach your primary goal? So, sorry, go ahead.
Dedicate time for lead generation. 'cause
Okay.
I'll-
So you need to lead generate. How do we make that smart?
Have a specific metric for how many cold calls that you'll do per day or per week, how many touches or new people you'll meet per week.
So it sounds like one of your priorities is going to be cold calling.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll get to specificity in a second. What is another priority? Most people are going to have 2 to 5 priorities to support their goal. Essentially, the idea here is when we define what this means, if we accomplish it, we will have no choice but to have accomplished this. Right? They support each other and build up to the big goal. So we're essentially breaking this down into whatever has to happen to get us there. So we're gonna come up with some numbers around cold calling in a minute. But what else needs to happen? What other priorities unrelated to cold calling?
Let's say would marketing count or fall under that?
Sure, it could.
Branding your brand.
Okay, branding. Is branding going to get you 3 listings?
I would say so, just because it is a part of lead generation. It's getting yourself top of mind with others out there.
The marketing part might be,
Yeah.
yeah. Branding maybe less so.
Oh,
Branding.
well, marketing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like we need a marketing plan. Okay. Do you have one more? You need a license. Can I put a license on here?
Yeah. I
Okay.
don't know if that's considered measurable though, because it's already.
That's not how you spell that, is it? Whatever. We'll make it measurable. It's cool. Okay, so we've got 3 priorities. So if you cold call effectively, if you market effectively, and you get your license, you'll have 3 signed listings.
I hope so.
True or not true?
I would like to say true.
Okay. I mostly agree. I think there's an education piece in here as well. So we might want to add some sort of education or self-mastery or something. Education. So that you can have the skills that you need to get out there and do it. Okay, so so if cold calling is your thing, some of you might be door knocking or something else, what is the SMART goal? Like, how many people do you need to talk to in order to have 3 signed listings?
Well, this might be too far-fetched, but I would say maybe 10 to 15 per day.
10 to 15 what?
Phone calls, or let's say, all right, 10 to 15 two-way conversations.
Okay. So this is going to apply to everyone. So we've got some sort of we're talking about a sales funnel here. We want to drive people from not talking to them to selling them something, right? So we've got some sort of outreach at the top, and then we have a conversation that's going to happen to push them down the funnel, to set an appointment, to have an appointment, to sign a piece of business, sign your listing, which in your case is the bottom, but then eventually get paid, right? So this is how our sales funnel in real estate works. We have a dial or a door knock or whatever we want to call it, that leads to a conversation about real estate, that leads to an appointment set, that leads to an appointment kept, that leads to a signed listing or buyer representation agreement, that leads to a paycheck. We all on the same page there? Cool. So then the question is, how do we, if we know for your case, you need 3 signed listings. For the rest of you, you might write a dollar number down here. That's cool. How do we work backwards to figure out how many dials need to be made? We're gonna do this exercise and then we'll be done since we're about there on time. But this is how to think about goals. Is like yes, we're gonna make some assumptions here, but it gives us guide rails, and we can adjust as needed. So in order to sign 3 listings, how many, and some of your others might know better, how many listing appointments do we need to go on?
Like if you maybe get a third of the appointments that you go on, you have to go for 3 appointments to get 1 listing.
Okay. Is that about the conversion that you'd expect?
I mean, lately I've only lost 1, so.
Okay. Out of how many?
I haven't done that many,
Okay.
so 11.
Okay, so you're 10 out of 11. Okay.
But for this purpose, I put 1 out of 3 just.
Okay. Yeah, I think from kept to signed, so it might differ on the buy side from the sell side, so there's that to consider as well. One way to think about it is sellers often interview 3 agents, so yeah, if you have, if your skills are exactly average, you probably end up with about a third. I hope that our skills are above average and we can see a higher conversion rate. But yeah, we're gonna have some percent in here. Can we go with, I'm gonna go with, well, what would make this 4 or 5? Let's do that. What would that be? That's a 60% conversion? I think that's pretty realistic. If we hone our craft and we're going on an appointment with data, we know what we're talking about, we have the competence, we can convert 60%. I believe that. Okay, so in order to go, are we okay running with that? You can put in a different number as you work through this. So in order to go on 5 appointments, how many do you have to set because of cancellations and no-shows? Or does everyone show up for you?
I mean, maybe 9 out of 10.
Yeah, okay. So something like a 90% conversion rate? Okay. So we're gonna do 5 divided by 90%. Scared to see what Alex Kim has to say. Okay, cool. So 5 over .9 is, we're gonna call it 6. That's 5.5555. But we can't go on, we can't set part of an appointment. Okay, so how many conversations need to happen about real estate where an appointment is asked for in order to get 6 appointments? We have to make some assumptions, right? We have to guess.
Or triple.
It also depends on who you're calling. If you're cold calling, it might be way more than that. You might have to talk to 100 people to get 1 appointment. What's that?
I said 50.
50. 50?
50.
50. Yeah, okay. So a 50 to 1 conversion rate. So that's 2%. Let's see what that looks like. It's going to be a big, scary number. 300. That's not as big as scary as I thought. 2% equals 300 conversations. Cool. And then how many dials or door knocks or whatever do we need to do in order to have 300 conversations?
At least 300, right?
At least 300, yeah. So let's think about our answer rates. So when you door knock, do you know roughly how many answer the door?
I don't door knock.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Oh, you're cold calling. Okay.
Yeah, I cold call.
Okay. Do you know what your answer rate is?
My answer rate. Actually, no, I haven't figured out, but I would say out of 20 calls, get at least 4 people to conversation.
Okay. Yeah, okay,
Out of
that
20.
sounds about right. So that's about a 20%. Yeah, okay, well, let's go with that. And your numbers might be different depending on who you're outreaching to. If this is an open house, people walking into an open house, for example, well, that's gonna be a much smaller number, so you have to do a lot more open houses. But your conversations are gonna be, 90% or something. And then hopefully your appointment set ratio is better too. Okay, so at 20%, we need to make how many calls? 300 divided by 0.2, 1,500. There you go. So that's your SMART goal essentially for cold calling, is to call 1,500 people in order to sign 3 appointments. And that's assuming these conversion rates are true. You may call the first 200 people and not see the conversion rates that you're looking for, and you'll have to adjust from there. Any questions about this and how to apply it to your lead generation method? How would social media followers work? Somebody's doing social media. I forget. You, yeah.
On, I do it on Messenger, so I follow people in my groups and just reach out to them. So that's how I connect, and then I try to make purposeful conversations through Messenger.
Yep.
And I secure the appointments through there.
Yeah.
But the conversion is still low.
Right,
so-
right. Okay, so you may want to start tracking your conversions at a higher level, or more consistently, I should say. Like how many, maybe it's direct messages, DMs, is that what they're called? How many DMs are you making which actually get a response? There's a conversion. How many of those DMs actually result in an appointment? And you'll start to see patterns and ratios. When you've set your first appointments and it took 300 DMs or whatever, like there you go, you got a conversion rate that you can use and apply to future. And then the question, so here's your plan based on educated guesses or current conversion rates. And then the next question is like, well, this is great, except I'm not happy with a 60% conversion rate. I want an 80% conversion rate. And what would that do, for example? Or I'm not happy getting 2% of my conversations to result in appointments. So what do we do about that? Anybody have an answer? Right, but how? How do we do that?
Skills.
Skills, yes, yes. So what conversations do I need to be having to turn this 2% into 3%? Because 3% changes this number. Look what this does. So if I change this to 3%, I'm at 9 appointments set. At 90%, that's 8 appointments kept. Keeping this at 60%, I'm at, what is that, almost 5 signed listings. I just got 1% better, and it almost doubled my results. How cool is that? So track your stuff and see where you can improve. There's ways to control all these numbers to a limited extent. This one is skill here, and skill here. And there's skill here too. But these are the 2 big things in the lead generation side that you can control. This conversion rate is who you're calling and how you're calling them. Like, are you calling the right people? Are you getting your lists from the best source? Are you door knocking people that are actually home? So that's how to change that number. And this one, appointment set to kept, that might be setting the appointment with the right person. Are they actually going to show up? Did you pre-qualify them? Did you confirm the appointment before you wait for them at the office for an hour? Okay, any questions about the sales funnel?
For example, if we, I would prefer door knocking or go in person, like grocery stores, my
Yep.
restaurants, my salon, right?
Right, yeah, or your cultural events, yeah.
So, but if they like, instead of listing their house, if they ask, hey, I want to buy a house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But should, like, how should I approach them?
Right, so yeah, it's this, wait, are you asking how to talk to them, or are you asking how it works in the here?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. So there's still a signed agreement for buyers. There should be. There's a buyer representation agreement in our zip forms, car form, whatever you're using, and that is an agreement to work together.
Yeah.
So boom, signed contract. Now the thing is with buyers, so on the sell side, if you sign 3 listings in this market, you're probably going to sell 3 listings,
Yeah.
right? If you sign 3 buyers, how many buyers are you likely to close? Less.
Hopefully 3.
Hopefully 3, but in this market,
Yeah, that is-
it's hard on the buy side. A lot of buyers exit the market, or it turns out they're not qualified.
Yeah.
You could get the buy and sell, selling and buying.
Right, so that might be changing your target audience a little bit to change these numbers. But if for example, cultural events is your source, like you don't really get to control if they're buying and selling, or just selling. But we do need to know from our planning perspective that on the listing side, we're probably at like a 90% signed to closing. Ugh. So if you sign 3, you're going to close almost 3 listings. On the buy side, if you sign 3 buyers, you might close 2 buyers. Yeah, maybe it's a 60% conversion ratio. So recognize that too. If you're on the aiming to represent more buyers, that your conversion between signed and dollars is going to be lower. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you got to track it. So that's what's just real quick. I want to be respectful of time and scheduling and all that. So you'll have this. This is a 411. So what we do after you develop your the other one, which I don't have a copy of in front of me. You have one.
You can have it.
Okay. So after you fill out this and you identify what it is that needs to be accomplished over the course of the year, or in our case, the next 6 months, you can then use this sheet to create a monthly plan. So it's pretty straightforward. You put your annual goal up here, so it's in front of you all the time. 3 signed listings. You're putting it's in front of you, you're after it. Your monthly goal might be to, make 1,500 calls in your case. And there might be some sub things under there too, like finish getting your license, or learning a new skill, or understanding the market, or whatever it is. And then we just break that up into 4 weeks inside of the month. So week 1, what are we calling? About 400 people, for example. If the week goes by and we miss that number, we got to roll it over into week 2. So if I only call 300 people in week 1, I need to call 500 in week 2. And so you break down all your goals into digestible, weekly, just get it done sort of stuff. And the stuff that ends up on your week should be important for sure, and it should be, again, a SMART goal, so attainable within that week. If it's not attainable in the week, it's in the wrong spot, and move it up to a month or an annual goal. And stay accountable to this. Use an accountability partner, use the tools that we have to make sure that you've got the help that you need to stay on track. Yeah. Any questions about a 411? Okay, we're past time, so I'll say thank you, and I'll be here to answer more questions if there are any.
All right.
This was fun.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
guys.
Thank you, Joe.
I trust this was helpful, and can't wait to see your business plans.
Can I take a picture?
Oh, of course.
Thank you for the invite, Joe.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, always.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a really great conversation with Eric yesterday. so-
Sweet. That's exciting.
I was like, I never intend, but like you're saying, the energy is like, wow, it's so good over here. I'm learning so much, and I'm not learning anything over here.
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how much more ahead, just in that 2 weeks, would I have been if I was just here after that, than doing whatever else I'm doing.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't know. Now I'm leaning.
Oh, yeah, this is my job.
Eric said we had a few things to talk about. What were they? I don't know. Well, you have a few minutes?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, whenever you're done here.
Cool. All right.
Did you talk to the people? Yeah, I'm free.
I have a 7-year-old.
Oh, you do?
So he's a boy. And then I also have a newborn. She's 18 months. Her name is Janelle. Yeah, she's a little baby. It's a little baby. Let me show you a picture of her.
Yeah, let's see babies.
Do you guys host other brokerages,
So you have
open
just
houses,
two.
or do you guys only do
Oh, boys
CW?
Are your people allowed to host other open houses, or they only do your own?
They can host open houses with
She loves things.
some check